Hello and welcome to my FA Cup predictions. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoy. If you do, feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you are new. But today we'll be having a look at the fixtures for the FA Cup 4th round. Now, unlike last time where there was loads of games splattered everywhere, there doesn't seem to be that this time. There is still obviously games moved for TV, but there's not a handful moved. For 12:30, for example. The first game is between Bristol City and Bolton. Both sides are in the Championship, and this one kicks off at 7:45 on Friday evening. So this is the first FA Cup game to take place. Bristol City are flying, 5 wins in their last 5 games, 4 wins in the Championship, and 1 win in the FA Cup. That win coming against Huddersfield, and then wins in the Championship against Stoke, Rotherham, Bolton and Nottingham Forest. 1 win in the last 5 games for Bolton, that coming in the FA Cup, 5-2 victory over Walsall. This one's going to be a very, very interesting tie. Two sides that are having different in seasons really. Bristol City are in the playoffs and Bolton are definitely going to be in the relegation scrap come the end of the season. And it's going to be very difficult for Phil Parkinson's men to try and get anything from this game. It's going to be tough because Bristol City are going very well. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Bristol City. I just think they'll have too much for Bolton, and I think they'll win 2 goals 2-0. Next, we have the 5-8 kickoff between Arsenal and Manchester United. For me, this is probably the tie of the round. And since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer took over at Manchester United, it's been unbelievable form for them. They have won their last 7 games. All 7 of their games have been victories against Cardiff, Huddersfield, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Reading, Tottenham and Brighton. Arsenal will take on Manchester United knowing that their form is very, very indifferent. 3 wins, and then 2 defeats in their last 5 games. So it's been very, very up and down. However, their home form for me is very, very good. Their home form is delightful compared to their away form. I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to go 2-2 here. I think it will be a draw, and I think United will win on the replay. And then we have the games on Saturday. Lots of games taking place this Saturday, but as I say, no games moved for television besides one. You know, the usual, instead of having loads of random games moving. Accrington Stanley take on Derby County in the first game. Just 1 win in the last 5 games for Accrington, coming against Ipswich in the FA Cup. Southampton were the losers against Derby in the 3rd round replay. Finished 2-2, but a penalty win for Derby County, and they scored all of their penalties. They were very, very good from dead ball situations, Derby County, and they also have a lot of threats going forward, the likes of Mount, Wilson and Marriott as well. Marriott's a very, very good player. In the last 5 games there's been 2 wins, including that penalty win, 2 draws and 1 defeat. So Derby are going okay, I guess. They should have too much for Accrington, I think. I'm going to go 2-1 to Derby County, just getting past Accrington Stanley. And then we have the 3 o'clock games, the first of which is Brighton versus West Brom. It's going to be tough for Brighton against a very, very good attacking West Brom side. In the last 5 games, Brighton, they've won 2, drawn 1 and lost 2, losing their last 2 games to Liverpool and Manchester United. West Brom, they've won 2, drawn 2 and lost 1 of their last 5 games, wins coming against Bolton on Monday and Wigan Athletic. I think this one will be tight. I don't think there'll be a lot between it, but I do believe that Brighton are probably a bit better than West Brom, particularly at home. So I'm going to go 3-1 to Brighton. I think they'll have just enough to beat West Brom. I'm going 3-1. Doncaster take on Oldham. So this is Doncaster, who are in League 1, against Oldham, who are currently in League 2. Oldham, they've won 3 of their last 5 games, beaten Port Vale, beaten Notts County and beaten Fulham, and in that amazing FA Cup game. Since then they've had a draw against Forest Green 0-0, and then a defeat against Macclesfield, who are very much struggling at the bottom of League 2. Doncaster Rovers, they won 3 of their last 5 games, beaten Gillingham, beaten Rochdale 5-0, that amazing win at Preston, then a 3-2 defeat against Wickham and a 2-2 draw against Burton. Personally, I don't think there will be a lot between this, so I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to go 1-1, and that will go back to Boundary Park. I'm going Doncaster Rovers 1, Oldham 1. Next we go to the champions Manchester City, who will be taking on Burnley. And City have been on absolute fire. Their last 5 games, 7-0, 9-0, 3-0, 3-0 and 1-0. Absolutely incredible, and they'll be taking on Burnley, whose form has picked up as well. 4 wins and 1 draw in their last 5 games, beating Barnsley in the FA Cup last time out. The last time these two met, it finished 5-1. They met each other last season in the FA Cup, finished 4-1, and City have 3-0. City have pretty much hammered them every time they've met in the last few years. Personally, I think this one will be a City win. I'm going to go 3-0 to City. I think they'll have just enough to be comfortable against Burnley. I don't think they'll cause many problems. I'll go 2 or 3-0, probably 3-0. But that is a 3 o'clock game. Next 3 o'clock game is Middlesbrough versus Derby County. Now Middlesbrough, they had a shock themselves in the Carabao Cup when they lost to Bolton, and they'll be hoping the same thing doesn't happen against Newport. Newport have won 2 of their last 5 games, beating Leicester City in that amazing FA Cup game, and also beating Exeter. But defeats against Stevenage and Crewe, as well as a draw against Crawley. Middlesbrough, they've won 3 of their last 5 games, so they've picked up a little bit, beating Peterborough 5-0 in their last FA Cup game, and then wins against Ipswich and Birmingham. Draws against Millwall and Derby County. This one could go either way, and it could literally be any result. I have no idea what this one will be. If I had to guess, I'll go for a Middlesbrough win just about. I'll go 2-1 to Middlesbrough. Next we have Newcastle and Watford. So Newcastle, they beat Blackburn in the last round 4-2 after extra time. Watford, they beat Woking 2-0 in their FA Cup game. So in the last 5 games, Newcastle, they've won 2, including that FA Cup game, and then a 3 win against Cardiff, 3-0 that finish, with Shah getting 2 of the goals. 2 defeats against Chelsea, Manchester United, 2 sides you'd expect them to lose to, and then also the 1-1 against Blackburn. Watford, they have won 2 and drawn 3 of their last 5 games, draws against Burnley, Bournemouth and Newcastle, wins against Watford, and Watford beating Woking and Crystal Palace. This one could go either way. I think the last time these two might have finished a draw, it did, and then Newcastle won the games at St James's Park. So I'm going to go 1-0. I'm going to go for a similar result to that one at St James's Park. This one could go either way as well. It could be anything, but I'm going to go 1-0 to Newcastle. Next we have Portsmouth versus QPR. Portsmouth flying high in the League One, and QPR are in the Championship just outside the playoffs. 3 wins in their last 5 games. 2 of those come in the League Trophy, and then 1 of them come in the FA Cup, beating Norwich 1-0, and then wins in the Trophy against Peterborough and against Southampton. Have lost their last 2 league games against Blackpool and Oxford United. QPR only 1 win in their last 5 games. That also come in the FA Cup, beating Leeds 2-1, 2 draws and 2 defeats. I'm going to go for Portsmouth here. I think that they'll beat QPR. They're going really well. There'll be a lot of confidence and a great crowd at Fratton Park. I'm going to go 2-0 to Portsmouth. I think there'll be a big shock there. Shrewsbury entertain Wolves. This one has all of the marks of an FA Cup shock. Shrewsbury, they have won 1 of their last 5 games, and that was that incredible comeback against Stoke, 3-2, that finished after being 2-0 down. They've had defeats against Charlton and a defeat in the Football League Trophy as well. A draw against Stoke and a draw against Blackpool in the last 5 games, as well as a defeat against Charlton, 3-0. Wolves, they've won 3 of their last 5 games, beating Leicester City in that incredible 4-3, beating Liverpool in the FA Cup 2-1, and beating Tottenham 3-1, with defeats against Manchester City and Crystal Palace. I don't know how this one will go. But I'm going to go for Shrewsbury to get something. I think that there may be a shock here. I'm going to not go for a full shock, but I'm going to go for them to get a draw. I'm going to go 0-0 and Shrewsbury taking them back to Molineux. Swansea take on Gillingham. This one could go either way. Another Championship versus League One tie. Swansea have won 3 of their last 5 games, and they're starting to pick up, beating the likes of Aston Villa, Reading, hammering Reading, and then beating Swansea. They beat Sheffield United as well in those 5 games. Gillingham, they won 2 and lost 3 of their last 5 games. I'm going to go with Swansea because they're at home, because they're the league side. It'll be interesting to see how Gillingham go against another Welsh side. I'm going to go 1-0 to the Swans there, and that's another 3 o'clock game. The last, this is the 5:30 kickoff, is Millwall versus Everton. So this one will be very, very interesting indeed. This one is on BBC One. Millwall, they've won 3 of their last 5 games, beating Nottingham Forest 1-0, beating Ipswich Town 3-2, beating Hull in the Cup 2-1, and a defeat against Blackpool 2-0, and a draw against Middlesbrough 1 apiece. Everton have won 2 of their last 5 games, and I think this one will be quite difficult. They struggled against Lincoln, and that could have easily been a draw. So I think they're going to struggle here. I'm going to go for a shock. I'm going to go 2-1 to Millwall, and another FA Cup shock for Millwall. They had a few. I think they beat Leicester City, and they beat Bournemouth a couple of years ago. So that would be another shock. And then the last Saturday game is AFC Wimbledon versus West Ham. Now these two met in the Carabao Cup at the start of this season, and it finished 3-1 to West Ham. AFC Wimbledon took the lead before having Rob McDonald sent off, and in the end West Ham made them pay, but it did take them an awful while. AFC Wimbledon, now managed by Wally Downs, have only won 1 of their last 5 games. That was a 3-2 victory over AFC Wimbledon, beating Fleetwood. But since then, 1 draw against Coventry and then 2 defeats in a row, 4-1 against Barnet and 3-0 against Fleetwood. West Ham, they've won 2 of their last 5 games, beating Birmingham in the Cup and Arsenal 1-0, and then defeats against Bournemouth and against Burnley. They also drew with Brighton. I'm going to go for West Ham in this one. I'm going to go for them to win about 3-0. Form is quite poor for AFC Wimbledon at the minute. They haven't won the league since Boxing Day. So I think it will be a comfortable West Ham win. On to Sunday's games. There is some really odd kickoff times. There's a 4 o'clock and a 6 o'clock. The first 4 o'clock is Crystal Palace against Tottenham Hotspur. So Crystal Palace will entertain Tottenham, having won 2 of their last 5 games, beating Wolves 2-0, and then also beating Grimsby. That solitary goal ended Grimsby's hopes in the FA Cup, but since then they've had a defeat against Watford and a 4-3 defeat against Liverpool. And it looks like they'll have Julian Speroni in goal again. Tottenham, in their last 5 games, they've beaten Cardiff 3-0. They went to Tranmere in the FA Cup and won 7-0. Beat Chelsea 1-0, lost to Manchester United 1-0, a 2-1 victory over Fulham, and then a 2-1 defeat against Chelsea, and then also the penalty defeat in the Carabao Cup. The last time these two met, it finished 1-0 to Tottenham. The time before, it finished 1-0 to Tottenham. Before that, 1-0 to Tottenham. Before that, 1-0 to Tottenham. And before that, 1-0 to Tottenham. I'm going to keep with that. I'm going to go 1-0 to Tottenham. I don't expect Tottenham to score many goals, because of the injuries they have to the likes of Dele Alli and Harry Kane, as well as having Son Heung-min out with the Asian Cup. So I'm going to go 1-0 to Tottenham. I think they'll have just enough to beat Crystal Palace, but I don't expect many goals there. The final Sunday game is between Chelsea and Sheffield Wednesday. So Chelsea have won 3 of their last 5 games, beating Tottenham 2-1 before winning on penalties, beating Newcastle 2-1 and beating Nottingham Forest in the Cup 2-0. Defeats against Tottenham and Arsenal as well in those last 5 games. Sheffield Wednesday, they lost 1 of their last 5 games, losing to Hull 3-0. 2 draws and 2 wins, including that 1-0 comeback against Luton in the FA Cup after that 0-0 draw. Last time these two met was in 2000, and Sheffield Wednesday ran out 1-0 winners. I think they'll have too much Chelsea for Sheffield Wednesday. I'm going to go 3-0 to Chelsea, comfortably getting into the next round. The final game is between Barnet versus Brentford. Hopefully Barnet give a very, very good account of themselves this time, and hopefully they can provide a shock against Thomas Frank's men. However, it will be very tough because Thomas Frank has started to turn things around for the Bees. Both teams are the Bees actually. 2 draws and 3 wins in their last 5 games, including that 1-0 victory over Oxford in the FA Cup, and a 4-2 win over Rotherham and a 3-1 win over Stoke. So they are looking a lot better, Brentford. Barnet, 3 wins, 1 draw and 1 defeat in their last 5 games, including that 1-0 win over Sheffield United. If they can beat Sheffield United, they can sure as hell beat Brentford. I think this one will be too far for them. I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to go 1-1, and I'm going to go for Brentford to win the replay. I think, and I hope, Barnet can give a really good account of themselves, and I'd love to see a shot for Barnet to get into the 5th round. That would be unbelievable. I think this one will be just too far for Barnet, though. I'm going to go 1-1 in that one. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks so much for watching the video. I really do appreciate it. My name is Mike, and I will see you soon.